本節目內主持人及嘉賓的言論純屬個人意見，並不代表本台立場。
Hi, welcome to this episode of Boiling Point. I'm Ben, and with Julian. And first of all, I think we're going to
got some conspiracy stuff, right?
Well, let's try and think. What are we going to try and discuss today? We've got to mention Howard Lamb because that's just like I don't know what to say. That's like totally crazy. But
it's like a whole big stage of batshit crazy stuff.
Well, if you don't know, Howard Lamb is the Democratic Party member who said that he was kidnapped by Chinese-speaking guys,
agents, whatever they are,
kidnapped and had staples stapled into his leg
in crosses
because he's a Christian. But as it turns out, video footage that has been unearthed has raised questions about that, and now a lot of people...
You mean all those surveillance cameras?
Exactly, surveillance cameras from shops in Mongkok show that a person that people reasonably think is the guy actually not being abducted and actually just leaving Mongkok via a minibus.
That's...
But hang on, before we go further on that, the other things we want to discuss today...
we have lots on hand.
I want to discuss the Western media's portrayal of the imprisonment of Joshua Wong, Alex Chow, and Nathan Law, because the Western media is calling them the first political prisoners in Hong Kong's kind of...
Come the fuck on, they're not the first.
In history, which I think a lot of people see as fake, that being not true. And to me, it suggests that, it's just another example of the Western media portraying the Hong Kong democracy movement inaccurately and intentionally so, perhaps.
It's like deliberately they're trying to control the whole,
the narrative of Hong Kong democracy movement, rather than be kind of accurate and tell...
rather than be sticking to the facts.
Rather than sticking to the facts, it's very propagandistic, and it only shows one side. What I call that...
It's creating all sorts of hindrances for all these people who are risking their futures,
Yeah, it's... okay, and we'll get back onto that in depth later. And we also want to briefly discuss...
Mr. Lamb's condition.
No, we already mentioned that. I want to discuss... some of the stuff that happened in the US, actually, the Charlottesville stuff, because I think how the Western media portrays the nationalists in America, calling them supremacists. I wonder if the Western media would ever call Hong Kong nationalists like Hong Kong supremacists. I mean, do Hong Kong nationalists think that the Hong Kongers are supreme over Chinese?
In many ways, we are kind of underdogs. I mean, we're so beaten up. We got lots of people, university students sent to jail, and I don't think we're that kind of supreme when it comes to who's winning and who's losing for now.
The point I want to make is that you can't have like racial supremacy between Hong Kong and China. So this kind of proves that nationalism is not based on race.
Yeah, because
so actually, a lot of the American nationalists, they're not racial nationalists, but the Western media, typically, on the left, globalist, probably connected to the CIA at the moment at least, they want to portray American nationalism as racism.
It's that's the easiest kind of finger pointing. Whenever you got into a fight, I mean, when you are in a crowd facing another crowd, and when you're yelling at each other, it's just convenient.
Yeah.
Just point fingers and then racist and then just let shit break out.
Okay, great. So that's kind of the introduction to the topics we want to cover in these 3 segments. So, first of all, Howard Lamb. Julian, you believe Howard?
I believe in him. Oddly.
Yeah, I was speaking to someone earlier today.
Because when you look at those footages of those so-called surveillance camera recordings, you see that there are some remarkable differences if you look closely into them. I mean, between the original unmasked without a cap, Mr. Lamb, and the one that's in a cap and.
Really? I looked very closely.
Because the way they walk.
You don't think they walk the same?
I don't think they walk the same.
Didn't they both have their pigeon-toed?
His feet you have to look. You have to look at how much weight he actually puts on one foot when he moves.
Interesting.
That's from some not from me. It's actually from some specialist, physiotherapist, and that kind of people who have decades of experiences.
Wow.
Looking into those people with problems in walking and stuff like that, and also the direction that they're heading to might be different. So that's why I believe in him.
Well, what I was speaking to someone earlier today, and they tend to think that they told me that he was a protege or closely associated with HKNP Statement, and that HKNP was kind of like an underground communist.
Yeah, because his brother is a communist himself.
Right.
So it's possible.
So it's possible that that this is a kind of a big setup by the Chinese communists to really embarrass the Democratic Party.
Yeah, to mess with their reputation and integrity.
And just to ruin their reputation, basically,
it might be true.
And I think, over the last few years that I've been, interested in Hong Kong, there seems to be often things that are so inexplicable, so strange, that it makes me think that there are some type of plots of spies, Chinese spies or Western spies. They're doing stuff in Hong Kong in a way because
you cannot do it openly.
Yeah.
All these battles, all these struggles are always in disguise or in some subtle manner.
Yes, and what each side is seeking is the heart and mind of Hong Kong people, right? It's a propaganda war. The West and China in Hong Kong are not fighting with guns; they're fighting with propaganda and in the courts. And so Hong Kong is the front line of kind of the West's confrontation with China, as it has been for many decades, as it was before the handover and after.
Look at them. I mean, they have all got lots of different kinds of investments in Hong Kong, assets. And while China wants to take it all. So whoever wins is like whoever controls Hong Kong will be in control of all these assets.
Okay, well, we'll see what happens with Howard Lamb. I think he was arrested and then he got sick and he's gone to hospital. But
when you declared yourself sick, maybe you got beaten up inside. There are lots of ways, unspeakable ways that they do to those who are held in custody.
Yeah. I saw someone wrote on Facebook that this whole Howard Lamb thing, this abduction is a basically psychological war initiated by in this instance Chinese communists against kind of the democracy movement and democracy supporting people in Hong Kong.
Yeah, they want to silence you all.
There is a lot of psychological warfare in Hong Kong, isn't it?
Yep.
And that's connected to the propaganda and the setups, and who knows. We really have no idea with Howard Lamb, so we can't make any judgment. We don't know if he's being honest or not.
Yep.
Yeah.
Basically true.
So anyway, we'll see what happens. But I got a feeling probably the truth will never come out, and let's just file that away as who knows. We can't understand it, you know.
I can peek into them, but I'm not telling you.
Okay. Moving on. What did you want to discuss?
There is actually this statement that was made by the Hong Kong U.
Oh yeah.
That I would like to actually spend a moment to read.
Sure.
So if you don't mind.
Was that there on their Facebook?
Yeah, it's on their Facebook, but not many people are actually spending the time reading them.
Is this the one shared by Yukman?
Yep.
What is it? It's about Joshua Wong and Alex Cho and Nathan Law?
Yep. So control panel 唔該我哋開嗰個HKU 嗰個 picture 出嚟，嗰個相有個叫 HKU 嘅 file 係啦。So there's a statement that is made by
Hong Kong University Student Union.
Yeah, Hong Kong University Student Union, and the title goes like broken and burned, but strong in will to strive and persist, which is kind of admirable because consider the fact that they're undergoing all these prosecutions and everything. So 我哋可以唔使再影個相。
By the way, the five figures in that graphic are obviously
2K,
Billy Fung,
Joshua Wong, Billy Fung,
Nathan Lau, and Nathan Law. Sorry.
Yep.
Okay. So basically that was a statement. What was the gist of that statement? Basically, after the sentencing to jail of the three yesterday, the statement, I guess, just offered support to them. What I think was interesting.
So do you want me to read it, the whole thing?
No, well, it's very long.
Not really.
I think people can go to Facebook and see it.
Well, yeah, maybe you can go.
What I thought was interesting was the Hong Kong National Party statement.
We're not having it here. But we can look at them if you want.
Operator, can you please show pic 7?
第7張相唔該。
Now this statement came yesterday from the Hong Kong National Party. What's very interesting about it is it doesn't mention the three by name. It doesn't mention Joshua, Alex, or Nathan. So
I think that's purposefully done.
Yes, exactly.
Because if you look at what they believed in,
yes,
it's a major difference. When it comes to Joshua Wong, he's still sticking with the old values of the Democratic Party.
Yes, and they all go to the June 4 candlelight vigil.
Yep, but on the other side, they're not. So it's natural that they don't include them in this statement. Yeah, they can. The Hong Kong National Party makes a statement after that, but it makes it in a way from a Hong Kong nationalist perspective. It doesn't adopt, the three's kind of patriotic Chineseness. I mean, so although the Hong Kong National Party and the three who've gone to jail have different nationalities, so they belong to different nations. The Hong Kong National Party can still make a statement. So what we call this is finding the common ground. Even though having issues, having different national identities, they can still agree on certain things. And we saw, and actually, the classic example of this is the anti-interpretation of the law protest. Yeah, because it's not some burglary case. It's not some people got mugged in the streets. That's not that kind of crime. I mean, all these young people, they're risking their own future to fight for the homeland. Yeah, their homeland. Well, the Hong Kong nationals. The value they love. So so when later when we're covering another statement made by our friend Amelia, we'll go further to that. So that it's true. It's a mockery of rule or law. Yeah. It's a real mockery, because the people who are using the rules, using the laws, I mean, they themselves have absolutely no idea what ruling is about. Ruling is not about. It's not just about mass controlling, right?
Yeah.
And ruling and law. When it comes to law, there are good laws and there are laws that are actually abused.
Yeah. What was I going to say?
So actually, it's when those high-ranked officials in the government, they said it has nothing to do with politics. It's blah 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 blah. But fact is, there's some Reuters leaked news, which is about those high-ranked people in the judiciary department. They think they actually don't agree with pursuing.
Yeah, but it came down from the minister, the secretary.
But for Yuen Kwok-keung, he just against all these advices and everything.
Yep.
He just kept going and going even after the original jury.
Yes, that's right. And the final point I want to make, that's enough of that pick, please, is the important point to make, and this is a point that no one is making, but I will. What we see is after Hong Kong nationalism has been incorporated into the kind of establishment democracy movement, we see the Hong Kong courts and the Chinese government cracking down harder.
Yep.
And I don't think that these two developments are not connected. So this is what we're seeing. What we're seeing now, these jailings of moderate protesters, is coming after Hong Kong nationalism has been,
because they have to crack it before it's taken form.
So this is an important context for this legal crackdown.
Yep.
But of course, the fact that Hong Kong nationalism and Hong Kong independence has become mainstream, has been accepted by the Pan-Democrats. Hasn't been announced. They don't say it. But everybody can see it.
Yeah, we covered that. It's like a subtle change.
We've covered this subtle change, and it's in the wake of this subtle change that China is cracking down on Hong Kong more. Yep. Okay, that's the end of the first segment. See you later.
Yeah, stay tuned.
經錯過我哋精彩嘅節目，而家上嚟呢個網址就可以訂閱晒我哋8大頻道，付費之後仲可以重溫晒所有精彩嘅節目。記得要訂閱我哋嘅 YouTube Channel 同埋讚好我哋嘅 Facebook 專頁啊！